best to leave the hide on the deer and as much of it closed around the meat as possible so that it doesn't dry out. You don't get it dirty. You yield more in the end. You have more meat in the end come back from the processing. I don't have to trim it off. I don't have to throw it away. Like this right here, if the hide would have been around all this, it wouldn't have got dirt in it, it wouldn't have got hair on it, and it won't have to be trimmed off. So throwing a couple bags of ice in, it is a good idea to have the ice inside the deer, the hide on the deer. It becomes its own built-in cooler. When you shoot a deer in the evening, sometimes it's hard to find them. You can't find the blood trail at night. It's hard to find the blood trail. You don't know exactly what direction it took off in because it's dark. But leaving a deer overnight is not what you want to do. I mean, if you shoot one in the evening, you really, really want to find it. It would cause everybody's favorite part in here, the tenderloins, to go bad. Up here turns green first. Any place in here, when you leave a deer overnight with the guts in it, unless it's in the teens or lower, it has to be down that low in order for the guts to freeze fast. You hear aging beef. You know, aging beef is different than aging a deer. A beef has, you know, a half an inch of fat all the way around it. Most deer don't. And it takes that layer of fat to protect the red meat while it's hanging there. So there is no benefit to aging a deer. This area here, when you open this deer up, there would have been a layer of fat here.
Yes.
And here.
Yes.
And then on the top side of that fat, there's 2 kidneys. Remove the kidneys, but leave the fat.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
What that fat would do is it protects that tenderloin from drying out.
Okay.
Okay? It keeps all that meat covered, so any dirt, any residual like the corn and all that doesn't touch the meat. Did a good job because you can tell he rinsed it out. There's not a lot of blood inside. The deer was washed out after it was gutted, which was great. But the part where he fell short was, instead of taking the time to cut around and pull the rear end through, he took the easy way and cut it off right here. That little bit of rear end, that little bit of colon that's left inside that deer is holding enough acid, is holding enough stomach contents to spoil this whole section. It's not right around the hole. So you just stay on the bone and cut all the way around.
So you would do it from the end like that, not from having the legs spread.
Right. No, we'll do it like this, because then the bone stays in its true path.
So there's a bone around the hole there, all the way around.
Yeah. Well, here, we'll do this first.
Okay.
But you pull it back to make sure you got it free.
Okay.
And then you can pull it through the other way once you start to gut it. You know,
so this is what you would do first.
Do that very first. And then once you... Some people think that splitting this all the way down is the best way to get the lungs out. It's kind of an easier way, just for the fact that you don't have to reach in with a knife in your hand, kind of blind to do it. The downside to doing this, when you saw through this, you also carry hair from the outside of the deer and you embed it in these bones. You also expose all this meat versus coming in and stopping. All this meat here is still usable. It's still good. It doesn't have to be trimmed away. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's about a pound of meat right here. Versus this deer here where it's all dried out now, it's all exposed, there's hair in it, so it'll have to be trimmed away and thrown away. The big thing is to slow down. Honestly, take your time doing it. Don't rush. It isn't a pleasant experience. There is some blood involved, but in the end, if you really and truly want to enjoy the deer, then take the extra 10 minutes, make the job last 20 minutes or half an hour. At least do a good job on it rather than go 5 minutes because it smells funny, 5 minutes because it's nasty, you're not going to get as much in the end. You're not going to have as much venison to enjoy. You're not going to want to give a steak to a friend because you only got a couple. You get back more in the end.